Okay, so I'm working on a magazine and it's getting me thinking about the universe and how big it is and you know what I've never really looked into it. I don't know the answer. It's like the Bible. Before I started believing that I was God, I never really bothered looking into the Bible. I did some courses when because my granny was very religious, hence got me to do these kind of like weekly things when I was a kid, but that was about it. I didn't do that. But now that I'm making this magazine, I feel like there's some clues in it, and maybe I would like to know. I think you would like to know. I don't want to give you wrong information, but at the same time, um, I want to know for myself. And how people think of the Milky Way. I've seen pictures of it. This is the Milky Way. I hate the name. Really hate the way. I don't even want to say it. MW. This is the MW, and then they kind of show Earth is there, and I'm just like, well, if Earth is there, then where's this image coming from? How can if this is an image from here and Earth is there, and how you couldn't possibly create this image if it's not from the wrong angle, basically from an angle that's you can't take a picture of Earth this far away, and that just made me realize that that image of the MW is obviously not a real image. It's a created image. And then it kind of made me think, well, how do I know all of them aren't? I would say a galaxy is definitely real. I feel like if I'm trying to imagine my mind and trying to imagine soaring through the sky, in my mind, I can go in any direction I want. I can go light years in that direction, light years in this direction, light years in this direction, and the point of doing that would be to come across galaxies. And I feel like in my mind, I can do that. Like I can visualize all these different places. A lot of them don't have potential for life because it's like there's the wrong type of gases, or I don't know, because it's a repeat. All of them are a repeat. And then I kind of think back to what Earth would have been like. I would consider a galaxy to actually just be Earth in its orbit. You have the sun and you have Mars and you have okay, it looks very clean how it is right now. This will just look like a sun, and from a distance Earth would look nothing more than a sun with maybe a reflection. Maybe you'll get some sort of, if the sun bounces light off the earth. I mean, because we see the moon, so we see that's not a lit, that's not a light, that's a rock. I think a star is something that's actually producing light. So a star is basically a burning ball of gas. A sun is a gigantic burning ball of gas. And a blue giant is just a stone that you probably can't see because it's not on fire, but it's a stone that just gets bigger and bigger and bigger over time, and then it explodes. And that's how a galaxy is formed, because it breaks off, and all the particles, they'll probably all be on fire at the first. When a blue giant explodes, everything will turn. It'd be like a bomb. Like if you see a bomb, actually, a bomb is slightly different though, because there's not that much. Imagine a bomb with actual gas explosion, and you can see all the fire like breaking off. So that's what, to me, that's what a galaxy is. A galaxy is just something that's exploded, a massive, massive rock that has built up over billions of years and has exploded, and now it looks like a galaxy because it's just a mass of dots. And if you looked closer on the dots, you'd see that they're not rocks, that they're stars, because they're lit, they're on fire. There's lots of gas, or there's lots of flammable, there's lots of oil and stuff inside it, and they're all burning, and therefore it looks like this massive ball of burning stars. It looks like, it probably looks similar to the Milky Way, but I feel like the Milky Way, the MW, I hate the name, is just is I feel like it's not a galaxy. I don't actually believe that the Milky Way is a galaxy. I think it's just a mesh of stars. Usually when a galaxy forms, it pops, and then you can see like all the stars spiraling around in a circle. But I feel like the MW is not actually that. I feel like it's just like, like a river or something. And the MW is like a million times bigger than a galaxy. A galaxy, you'd probably think it is, because the MW is supposed to be just it's supposed to be just a galaxy. And I feel like maybe if people are confusing the MW. The MW is probably the nearest galaxy. Well, no, the nearest cluster of stars. And I think the people who are observing the Milky Way are confusing the MW with a galaxy. And they're thinking, well, if this is what a galaxy looks up close, because this is the closest galaxy to us, then you're probably looking at all the other galaxies around and thinking that all these dots are actually just exactly the same as the MW. But I don't think they are. I think the MW is actually just a mass collection. It's like a river, just like lots and lots of molecules that are big, whereas as a galaxy is the explosion, and therefore it all, because you've got an image of the MW and it's all like a circle, it looks like all like a circle, and so you kind of turn the MW into what looks like a galaxy. But I would say that I would say an MW and a galaxy are actually two very different things. And I don't know if you could prove that theory. I don't know if I'm right. These are the words of God, and I admit that the words of God probably are full of lies and not truths, because I don't know everything. But I don't study the stars. I don't know anything. But right now, that is what I would. That's what I would guess, and I think that's why the proportions. You're this the people who study the spaceologists are looking at the Milky Way, and they're assuming that this is just an up close version of a galaxy. And then they're looking at all the other galaxies, and they're assuming that the light bits or whatever, if you get a telescope and you zoom really, really close into them, you see a bunch of lights, and you're probably misjudging the sizes of them. Technically, uh, if you look at Earth from a very long distance away, you can see lights, and you don't know what those lights are. I mean, most of them are probably just street lights, tiny little balls of electricity or light, a light bulb, but from a distance, it's hard to tell how big it is or how big it is. Like if the house is on fire versus a street light, the house that's on fire will look a lot brighter. But if you're assuming that the dot that is a little bit smaller is just like a million times further away, then you would get the size of it wrong. And I feel like, how can you possibly really gain an accurate if something's so far away? I feel like your ability to be able to judge the how big each of those dots are, you might be able to see the dots, but to judge how big it is and to judge how far away it is, when all you have is the approximation from Earth when it's winter versus Earth when it's summer. If you're trying to work out how long this distance is, you need to have three measurements. You need to have one from here, one from here, and then you can try and work out. But because you think it's so far away, I feel like it's all wrong. I feel like a lot of things are wrong, and I know the universe is a really, really massive place. But yeah, if you're assuming that the Milky Way is just one of the 250 billion galaxies, I think you're wrong there. I think the Milky Way is not a galaxy. I think the Milky Way is just like a river, and therefore the measurements of what you think you're seeing, I think, are different. That's so it's important, because yeah, I didn't really know what a galaxy was, but I guess I was assuming, this is, I don't know why I assume this, but I believe when cause I've done the Miss Galaxy pageants, and I think I assumed that the sun with all nine of its planets, is it nine planets? Yeah, I assume that was a galaxy. The sun with the nine planets. Okay, it might not look the same as other galaxies, because from a distance you would only see the sun, because none of the other ones are on fire. But I think all the galaxies that you can see in the night sky are actually, um, when a blue giant explodes first, and then there's just like a cluster of, you could call them stars. I mean, technically, a star could just be a ball of rock this big that's on fire. It's not going to last very long, though. If it's just that big, it's not going to last very long. Hence, it can't be that big. It has to be at least a decent size. Asteroids, when they come to Earth, they hit on fire. Although I think sometimes the fire doesn't actually hit until, most of the rocks aren't on fire until you can see shooting stars. Sometimes you see shooting stars. Um, I think that's a star because it's producing light, and I'm pretty sure shooting stars are producing light of their own, or is that a reflection? I'm confused. How, because the moon reflects and stars. I need to know that question. Do are stars all just burning burning rocks, or are stars sometimes reflected off the light? Do stars reflect light? I don't know. But that is a doesn't matter. Whatever the question, the answer is to that. I feel like that is. Um, I would say that Earth's galaxy. Earth. That means that Earth's galaxy doesn't have a name. What would you call Earth's sun with Earth, Mars, but what would you call the sun with its orbit? I mean, I would say that that is a galaxy. It might not look the same as other galaxies because the sky has been cleared. It's like there's been a Hoover that's gone around and picked up all the little burning balls of stuff. Either that or they've just gone cold, and they're no longer burning, so that they're still there. I'm sure there are loads of rocks out there. You also get like the difference between a meteor shower and a small rock. I think that's also a good example of the Milky Way versus a galaxy. A galaxy is just one rock that's exploded and now trying to form and turn itself into Earth, whereas the Milky Way is more like a big meteor shower of a collection mass. Although if the Milky MW is this close, I think it could show that. I'm wondering if the higher powers know when when kids are being formed, and then sort of create something like the MW, for um, for in preparation for the new souls that are going to come into the timeline, and they're, I don't know, something like that is just like a mesh of different stars that could contain galaxies, in it. So I would say that the Milky Way, in the MW, is like just a mass of stars that could potentially have galaxies within, and a galaxy being just a sun with revolving planets around it, and in different stages of that. Earth might have not even been just one big rock that came from the sun. Earth might have been, like a snowball. A snowball. If you roll a small snowball, keep going round and round. The more you roll the snowball, the bigger it gets. I wouldn't be surprised if Earth was created like that. When the blue giant first exploded, it just created a big mass of stars, and then as Earth revolved around the sun, it was like a snowball picking up all the rocks. The rocks would have all been cooled by this stage because it's a very cold. The air is whatever the space air is very cold, and then it just collects up more and more, taking more and more poundings. But every time it goes round, it actually just picks up all the comets, and it did that so many times, that it got bigger and bigger. And all the planets do that. All the planets acted like as a big Hoover. If you imagine lots of people holding snowballs and they're all going around in a big circle, I think the further out you go, the bigger the planets will be because they have a bigger orbit. But then again, they're picking up more and more of these bits that are just flying around the Earth, flying around the sun. But yeah, and so that means any galaxy can potentially be, have life on it. I think they said 1 in 10, but it might actually be every planet, every galaxy might potentially create life on it. It's just a matter of time of how much they're able to pick up all the snow to make the planets. But yeah.